visit nature's
This is the Sam Sorbo Show. No deal is better than a bad deal. And from everything that's leaked from these negotiations, the administration has backed almost all of the guidelines that they set out for themselves. And I don't want to see a bad deal. And so if, in fact, there's no agreement, the sanctions are going to go back in place. And at some point, the Iranian regime, they're going to have to change their behavior, abandon their efforts to get a nuclear weapon, and stop being the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world.
And welcome back to the show. I'm Sam Sorbo. That was Boehner before they struck the deal, which they struck early Tuesday, or maybe midday Tuesday. I'm not sure because it's over there somewhere. Who cares? I'm joined now by Andrew Bostom. He's an academic, an MD, and the author of The Legacy of Jihad, The Legacy of Islamic Anti-Semitism, and also Sharia versus Freedom. And welcome to the show.
Hi, Sam. Sad day.
So the question is this, and it's a trick question. When is a deal better than a negotiation? And the answer is not today.
Yeah, it's a bad day. I may be somewhat melodramatic with the title of my most recent book, Iran's Final Solution for Israel, but increasingly I'm beginning to think that wasn't an exaggeration. When you look at the nature of this deal, legitimizing Iran's nuclear program. I mean, this is exactly. Right. I'm now quoting Senator Menendez, one of the few remaining Democrats, who at least speaks clearly. He says it legitimizes Iran as a nuke state. It doesn't end Iran's nuke program. It preserves it.
Well, with all due respect, they do have to shut down 25% of their 19,000 centrifuges.
Right, but there's no means in the end, Sam. The bottom line is there's no means in the end to validate any of this because of the nature of the inspections. Please.
Well, yeah, you just have to trust them.
Well, but I encourage you. I encourage your listeners to go. We actually have some sort of an agreement this time in writing, 159 pages worth in a PDF document, and you go through it. And I can't even. I can imagine perhaps there are behind the scenes things that are even worse. But this is bad enough. What's in public now, the idea that if the agency that the UN assigns to complete the inspections, the International Atomic Energy Agency, suspects that untoward activities are going on vis-a-vis, military applications, anything, violations of the basic agreement, the Iranians have 14 days to respond, and that may not even include the additional days in which the overseeing body can adjudicate the complaints. I mean, this is just absolutely ludicrous, and it was terribly misleading what President Obama said. I listened to his press conference this morning. That is not unconstrained inspections. That is thoroughly constrained inspections, and that is the heart of this entire agreement because everybody knows that Iran is not to be trusted, and if you don't have a workable inspections regime, the whole thing is a complete sham.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is a complete sham, and they're getting $100 billion in unfrozen assets with which to complete this. It wasn't 14 days? Wasn't that like wasn't that like the magic number? Wasn't it like a 2-week window in which they could switch from it's like pull the lever and it was 2 weeks until they could develop the bomb from the materials once they had the materials?
That's the other thing. The breakout period now is there's no way it's this ridiculous year. It's way under that given the amount of centrifuges that they were allowed, given the amount of not to get too technical here, but the enriched uranium hexafluoride that they're allowed to keep in stock. Combine that with the lack of inspections. God knows how quickly they could turn everything around. And the centrifuges that you're talking about in terms of reducing the number from the approximately 20,000s, they're not being dismantled. They're just being taken offline. And of course, the implication for that is that that this is all temporary.
Yeah, of course. Let me ask you this. If we couldn't find WMD, what good are inspections?
Well, look, there could be, just as the Soviets did, there could be an entirely parallel program going on, so that you would...
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. The idea that we didn't find the WMD, and we were looking for them because the Bush administration hinged their entire campaign on the presence of WMD, which incidentally were there because he used
them. You're talking about Iraq, yeah, and the idea that Iran now, which at this point certainly is more sophisticated, would have the ability for at least 2 weeks to move things around. It's just preposterous.
Imagine that they get a nuke and then they're discovered. So they're going to hide the nuke? Oh, I know. They'll hide it in Syria.
Well, you know, Sam. The other thing is, it was very hard to take Boehner's statements too, because the Republican-controlled Senate blew this a long time ago. They were left with one sane, standing, courageous member, who, by the way, was the only one I believe that's had active service in the military recently, and that was Senator Cotton, because there's no way now that the Senate is going to be able to even reimpose the puny sanctions, because all it takes to block that is 34 Democrats to agree with President Obama, and then he has a veto-proof leverage within the Senate. They signed away the ability to make this a full-fledged treaty that would have to require advice and consent, and 67 senators to approve the agreement. The Corker-Cardin bill gave that away and explicitly said that the Senate has no right to tamper with the agreement itself. The only thing they could possibly
and why did they vote for that? Why was their incentive to vote for that? Do we even know how they were purchased?
I have no idea, other than to say that they were cowardly and afraid of being accused of being warmongers, because once again it was Senator Cotton alone who pointed out the way to end this problem is not with an invasion of Iran a la Iraq. It is with a tactical military strike to destroy their nuclear facilities. That's the only way you're going to put this problem to rest. And in fact, Sam, in a parallel universe within our Defense Department, I mean, it's the only thing that gives me the faintest glimmer of hope. We are still actively testing the massive ordnance penetrator in New Mexico, and according to reports that even Politico has, the tests are going well. The tests are going well. So I don't know. There are still some adults left in our Defense Department.
Okay, we're running out of time, but I want to just quickly go back to your distrust of Boehner. In the clip that I played on the way in, he said, if we don't strike a deal, we're just going to go right back to the sanctions. But that's kind of not really the truth, because we can't just go back to sanctions, right? I mean, it takes months for the sanctions to actually...
He's lying. He's lying, to be honest about it.
Oh.
He's lying because he's saying, therefore, that Democrats are going to vote with the Senate, with the Congress, to override a presidential veto. That's ridiculous. There's no way that's going to happen.
Right.
Because Obama said today in his statement, any attempt to block the implementation of this agreement, he will veto. So, Boehner is lying.
Well, no, sorry, in his defense, he was saying this before there was a deal.
Right.
He said if there isn't a deal, then we'll reinstitute the sanctions.
But he knew full well that reinstituting the sanctions is also going to be blocked by the president. And the fact is that
there you go.
That they'll never be able to reinstitute the sanctions. And by the way, Sam, I mean, let's not look at the sanctions as a great success. Iran did all this massive development during a period of years of sanctions.
True enough. And they still have the pastor in custody in the prison, and the FBI guy, and others. And apparently this administration doesn't care. All right, I'm going to take a break. Andrew Bostom, thanks so much for joining me. And I will be right back with Pamela Geller with this incredible story of the police chief's son, a jihadist. Stay tuned.